Hi, second graders. This is Mrs. Records from the KMS Library. And now that summer's over and we're beginning a new season, autumn or fall, whichever you want to call it, I thought we would spend today in a celebration of autumn or fall. We're going to begin by just reading two poems from the book Wonderfall. You get it? Instead of wonderful, Wonderfall, and it happens to be written by Michael Hall. He's the author or poet. So we'll find our two poems. Get this nice and clear for you. Hold on. That doesn't look very clear. Oh, let's see what we can do. Oh, I think we just about have it. Perfect. So the first autumn poem we're going to hear is called Playfall. So instead of playful, Michael Hall did a play on words and said playfall. Look who's chasing in my branches. Look who's romping in my leaves. I think you can see some of them right here. Yep, it's the squirrels. They're chasing in the branches and romping in the leaves. And that is playfall because the squirrels are very playful. Let's try one more of Michael Hall's poems about autumn or fall. Instead of forceful, forcefall. This has onomatopoeia in it. And I thought it would be nice to have a review of the onomatopoeia or the sound words. Whoosh, whoosh, whoa. What wild whirling wind. Did you notice that all of the words have the same beginning letter and sound? The W. Let's do that one more time together. Forcefall. Whoosh. Whoosh. Whoa. What wild whirling wind. I know when autumn comes, I'll often notice that when the wind picks up, that the leaves swirl all over the place. So that was Michael Hall sharing two of his poems from his book. Let it get clear for you. Wonderfall. I hope you enjoyed. That was Next, we're going to enjoy one of my favorite autumn stories, Fletcher and the Falling Leaves. And this is by Julia Rawlinson. And because Julia Rawlinson wrote the words or the text, if you remember from your homework last week, that would make her the author. And then the pictures are by Tiffany Beek. So if Tiffany Beek is making the pictures or drawings in this book, she would be the illustrator. Come back down on this front cover. And so Fletcher and the Falling Leaves would be the title. You should remember that from last week as well. And this is Fletcher, and I'm sure you can see many falling leaves. You see, it's autumn in this book, and Fletcher's favorite tree is slowly changing colors and losing its leaves. And Fletcher Fox is very worried about his tree and thinks that it might be sick. So we're going to listen and read to discover what is truly happening to Fletcher's tree and the true meaning of friendship. So get comfortable for a nice story. Maybe you'll have a little snack while you're listening to the story. During the story, Fletcher and the Falling Leaves, we're going to be listening for a special type of word. They're called action words or verbs, VERBS. And throughout the story, the Leaves and Fletcher have all kinds of actions. And when the story's over, we'll go back and write some of them on a chart together so you can see many of the verbs or action words in this story. So here we go, Fletcher and the Falling Leaves. There's the title page, title, author, illustrator, publisher. That put everything together, including the cover and the spine, to make the book. Illustrations are beautiful in this book. You just look at them and you just know it's autumn. The world was changing. Each morning when Fletcher bounded out of the den, everything seemed just a little bit different. The rich green of the forest was fading to a dusty gold, and the soft swishing sound of summer was turning to a crinkly whisper. Fletcher's favorite tree looked dull and dry and brown. Fletcher was beginning to get worried. I'd like you to be able to see the text. There we go. I think my tree is sick, said Fletcher. Well, what's wrong with it? His mother asked. Well, its leaves are turning brown, said Fletcher. Don't worry, it's only autumn, she said. Remember, we're listening for action words, verbs throughout the story. Fletcher ran back to his tree and patted the rough bark. Don't worry, it's only autumn, he said. You'll be feeling better soon. They seem like they have a friendship. And Fletcher Fox, by calming down the tree and saying everything's going to be okay, is being a good, true friend. Let's see if we can get some more action words. Let this focus a little for you. But the tree didn't get better. Each day, more leaves turned brown, and one morning the wind blew a small brown leaf off of a branch. Fletcher jumped up and caught it very gently in his paw, right there. Notice they said he caught it gently. That's because it's from his friend, and he wouldn't do anything to hurt his friend. Don't worry, tree. I've got your leaf. I'll fix you. Fletcher looked around, and he picked a piece of grass and carefully tied the leaf to a branch. Must be on the tree. Fletcher picked it up, and just then another gust of wind ruffled Fletcher's fur. The little leaf shook itself free and fluttered back to the ground. Fletcher picked it up again and thought very hard. He must be concentrating. Then he poked the leaf onto a twig, which is like a little miniature branch on the tree, and pushed it down firmly. "Now, you hold on tight," said Fletcher. "No more flying around." The little leaf gave a tiny rustle back and forth in reply. He's treating that leaf almost like another animal, giving it the qualities of almost like a person. The next day, a strong wind was blowing through the forest. Fletcher rushed out of the den and ran all the way to his tree. Saw a lot of action words just then. Lots of branches were bare. That means empty. No leaves on them. And little lost leaves spun everywhere. "Don't worry, tree. I'll catch them for you. I promise." Round and round and round whirled Fletcher after the swirling leaves. I just saw a magic or a power of 3. Sometimes an author, when they're writing, will mention the same word 3 times to make it more powerful in the story. You could do that when you're writing stories. Here's the magic of 3. Round and round and round. "Leaves! Wonderful! Just what I need for my nest," said a squirrel. I'll bring you down this way so you can see the squirrel. He's got his little front paws full of leaves right there. And I think you know where the leaves came from. Yeah, I think they're from Fletcher. But these belong to the tree," said Fletcher. "Don't take them away." "The tree doesn't need them anymore," said the squirrel, bounding off, which is like running off. "Help! Help! The wind and the squirrel are stealing our leaves," cried Fletcher. "Leaves? Terrific! Just what I need to keep warm," said a porcupine, rolling around. And I'm sure some of you at home, my second graders, know that porcupines have quills, just like a hedgehog has quills, but a porcupine is a much larger mammal. It's always got these leaves sticking to his quills. "But these belong to the tree," said Fletcher, plucking leaves from the porcupine's needles. Looks almost like a Thanksgiving turkey there, I think, that porcupine. "Not anymore," snuffled the porcupine, and away he rolled. "Help! Help! The wind, the squirrel, and the porcupine are stealing our leaves," cried Fletcher. He's getting very upset. He feels like these other creatures and the wind are harming or hurting his friend, the tree. This page is kind of special. Suddenly, a flock of friendly birds swooped, that's a good action word or verb, down from the sky. They picked, action, picked up the leaves in their beaks and poked, action again, them onto the tree's branches, and soon the tree was leafy again, and Fletcher flopped down and smiled. Notice flopped and smiled. Those are also action words. Thank you, birds. Thank you, he gasped at the birds as they fluttered away, and he lay looking up through the leaves at the sky, and he drifted off to sleep. There's Fletcher right there. Think, what could happen? So the birds fly away, and Fletcher falls asleep under the tree, or his tree. It's a great, great picture of Fletcher. I want you to see his ears too. He looks peaceful, like his tree is better now, his good friend, and so he can relax and take a little nap. But the wind continued to blow, and the branches still danced. More action. The leaves shivered, action word or verb, and shook, action, themselves, and began to wriggle. It's moving back and forth, just like a monarch caterpillar in its chrysalis when it's ready to come out and become a butterfly, and it wriggles. That's an action. They tossed and turned and twitched and twirled. I heard 4 action words or verbs. Tossed, turned, twitched, twirled. Here's another one. And tumbled to the ground. Oh, here comes another action word. They brushed Fletcher's ears and nose and filled his dreams with a whispering sound. I wonder what's going to happen when Fletcher wakes up and finds out that all these leaves have come off of his tree. Make sure you can see the words or the text. When Fletcher finally woke up, he couldn't believe his eyes. Instead of a roof of dancing leaves, all he could see were bare or empty branches against the sky. Oh, tree, I am so sorry, gulped Fletcher. All your leaves are gone. But then he saw, high in the branches, one small leaf still holding on. Ready? Right there. The last leaf on Fletcher's tree. Remember, Fletcher's a true good friend. I won't let the wind steal that one, said Fletcher. And he began to climb. He crawled along to the last leaf and held it firmly onto its branch. I'll show you. So Fletcher's going to hold on to that leaf so it does not fall off of his tree. I wonder how long he can do that for. All day long, the wind blew, the branch bounced. Bounced is a good action word. And Fletcher held tight. I'll stay with you, leaf, he said. Don't worry. Fletcher's been so patient. Oh, but you know what happens in autumn or fall. Then, with a sudden whoosh of wind, the branch bounced high, and with a blip, the leaf let go and fluttered like a little flag clutched in Fletcher's paw. So it let go of the tree. Fletcher looked sadly at the leaf he had promised to save. He carried it carefully down the tree and back to the den. Foxes live in dens, I think you know that. He made a cozy little bed for it, and it is the leaf right there, and gently tucked it in. But all night long he could only think of his tree all on its own. Right? It doesn't have any more leaves left to keep it company. At dawn, when the sun first rises, Fletcher tiptoed, great action word or verb, outside. The wind had finally stopped. Even stopped is an action word. Blowing, and the air was cold. The moon still hung in the clear sky. That happens sometimes. The moon is looks like it's setting, and the sun is rising, and pale stars glimmered. As he came to his favorite tree, Fletcher saw a magical sight. Let's see. I love this page. Here we go. Make sure you can see a little bit more. There we go. I don't want to make you dizzy. The tree was hung with 1,000 icicles, shining, that's an action word, silver in the early light. You are more beautiful than ever, whispered Fletcher. But are you all right? A tiny breeze shivered, that's an action word, shivered the branches, making a sound like laughter. And usually we laugh when we're happy. And in the light of the rising sun, the sparkling branches nodded. So they're kind of moving almost up and down, like they're saying, yes, I'm okay. Fletcher gave his tree a hug. Then he went back to the den. I believe his mother's there waiting for him. Oh, for a nice, warm breakfast. And I think Fletcher knows now that his tree is going to be okay, because we went from summer with green leaves. Now we're going to enter autumn or fall with all kinds of beautiful colors in our leaves. And then winter will come, and the leaves will come off the tree. And you might see icicles sometimes. The tree is not hurt. It's sleeping or dormant. And I believe that's the end, but I better look just to make sure. Yes, it is. So I hope you enjoyed the story Fletcher and the Falling Leaves. And I'll be back a little later with a recording of us looking for some of the action words or verbs in Fletcher and the Falling Leaves.